On the 26th of February 2005, President Mubarak announced a proposal to amend Article 76 of the Constitution to enable multiple candidates to contest presidential elections directly for the first time. Under the old system, the election process was indirect. The candidate was nominated and confirmed by the People's Assembly, Majlis al-Sha'b, controlled by the National Democratic Party, before being approved in a nationwide yes or no referendum. The immediate repercussion to this announcement was the decision by U.S. Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice to cancel a proposed visit to the country in protest at the arrest and imprisonment of opposition politician Ayman Noor, leader of the Red Party. More generally, American President George W. Bush had been putting pressure on key regional allies, especially Egypt and Saudi Arabia, to introduce some form of electoral reform as part of efforts to spread democracy, the so-called Forward Strategy for Freedom. The Washington Post described President Mubarak's plans as an act of minimalism intended to deflect domestic and international pressure. Kifaya immediately denounced the proposal as theatrics and a fake reform designed merely as a reformulation of the dictatorship. The timing of the president's announcement was significant, coming only a few weeks after the close of the annual voter registration period, 1 November to 31 January, specified under Article 5 of Egypt's constitution. When the specifics of the constitutional amendment were presented by lawmakers, the opposition's fears seemed justified. Under the new rules, each candidate would require the support of at least 250 elected officials from national or local bodies. As these were controlled by the National Democratic Party, it would be virtually impossible for signatures to be collected. In addition, political parties that wished to put their candidates on the ballot would need to have been licensed for a minimum of 5 years and have at least 5% of seats in the lower and upper house. This move seemed designed to place even greater pressure on established opposition parties, in particular the already proscribed Muslim Brotherhood. On July 2004, the run-up to the referendum saw popular demands for reform skyrocket. Kifaya held regular protests calling for the cancellation of the state of emergency law and all special laws that restrict freedoms. In addition, they attacked the government for its record on social welfare, job creation, and education. In April, simultaneous demonstrations were planned in 13 cities under a banner of No Constitution Without Freedom. Kifaya's activities served as a catalyst for other opposition groups. Egypt's largest opposition party, the Muslim Brotherhood, held its own demonstrations calling for political reform, while university professors held a silent protest on the 19th of April, calling for an end to state control of campuses. The previous month, Misr Digital, the country's first independent digital newspaper, was launched quickly, becoming the main source of information on Kifaya's activities. Egypt's judiciary, regarded as having almost replaced the opposition in the past, put additional pressure on the government over the issue of the domestic monitoring of elections. At a meeting on the 15th of April of the Alexandria Judges Club, 1,200 judges threatened to withdraw their supervision of presidential and parliamentary elections unless they were guaranteed independence and control of all stages of elections. Throughout this period, while police and security forces continued to harass Kifaya and other opposition activists, there was no full-scale crackdown. In effect, a standoff had developed. While the opposition was strong enough to topple the government was equally unable to stamp out the opposition, at least partly in fear of the international outcry that would follow. Egyptians described the situation as political congestion. On the 25th of May 2005, the day of the referendum, demonstrations organized by Kifaya in front of the press